Time itself is testing you. In Take Time, the newest cooperative game from Libellude, you and your team must think together but act in silence. Each clock is a new challenge. Play your cards wisely and master 40 evolving tests with unique rules and twists. Discover 10 mysterious worlds brought to life through stunning poetic illustrations. Discuss, decide, then trust each other as silence takes over. Take time. Embark on a tactical and poetic journey. Hello, and welcome to episode 88 of the Board Game Geek podcast, where we geek out about board games, the mechanisms behind them, and the people who create them. I'm your host, Amanda Panda, and today I have with me Justin Bell. Most likely you know him from Meeple Mountain. How are you doing, Justin?
I'm doing great. So I'm a contributor for a website called Meeple Mountain. We are, I think, the best written content on the web for the tabletop space. And we're led by Andy Matthews and a fantastic team of about 15 or so regular contributors. I write about 150 to 180 pieces a year, give or take. And I've been with Meeple Mountain now for about 5 years. I'm based in Chicago, but to your point, I've probably met a lot of people listening to this show if they've been at other conventions, from, going to Cannes for the Festival International des Jeux to Gen Con in Indianapolis every year, Spiel in Essen, Germany, kind of all over. Even small conventions like Trax, the 18XX convention that happens outside of Denver, Colorado. So yeah, excited to be here. And I feel like you and I met at a show, I'm sure, many years ago, and it's been great to always see you whenever we go to the same convention. So it's great to be here today.
Yeah, and then we started working together on the 5x podcast.
That's right. Yeah.
Which is
the 5x
exciting.
Is brilliant. And I love the mission of the 5x too. And it's been fun to be a part of that group, in part because I feel like I have a radio face, if you will. And so having the chance to do podcasts and things like that are a fun gig. So yeah, I love that team too.
I'll have to have you on my Twitch live stream so that everyone can see how we don't have them.
Whoa. There's cameras there. I don't know. We'll see about that one. Yeah.
Now, I'm surprised. Cannes Film Festival? Is there board games? What brought you to Cannes?
Yeah, exactly. So that show is essentially the Gen Con of France. And I do a lot of work with some of the other French publishers, particularly that are part of the Hachette publishing line. And they were like, you should come out at some point to go and check out the show. And I did. And it was great. It was just a great chance to go somewhere else. Certainly, I'm not only not a movie star, but I have no future in the movies. So it was fun to be a part of going to a board game convention, but in a famous place. The food was a lot better also in Cannes than it was in Indianapolis. So it's got that going for it. The fun thing about that show, I had the chance to meet Fabio Lopiano at that show. He was demoing a game that was kind of an unknown at the time called Shackleton Base, A Journey to the Moon. And so I met him. I talked to him for a few minutes. We got pictures, and they sent a copy after the show. And from there, I was like, this is going to be one of my favorite games of the year. And it was. So it's just a great chance to go and see a new place, meet some new people. And the French were reasonably nice to me, which I didn't expect.
So it's not during the film festival. This is just in the same place as the film festival.
Yeah. I think it's in late February of each year.
I never knew about that. There's so many cons going on throughout the year, throughout the world. That's really cool. Now, you started at Meeple Mountain in February 2021. Did you do other stuff in the industry before then?
Not in the industry. I think I'm lucky. In Chicago, we have a couple of gaming groups, and a big shout out to the Wednesday gaming crew that I play with here in town, because a lot of those players are also either established or burgeoning game designers, play testers, what have you. And so I think in terms of industry contact, that's probably where it started for me. That was probably about 15 years ago. I'm a lifelong gamer, so I've been playing games forever. But in terms of industry, no, I really didn't start in the industry until post-COVID.
A lot of us started in the industry during COVID, so yeah.
Right. I didn't have that much going on, right? I'm lucky. I have a pretty good social circle. I feel like my club days are mostly behind me, but COVID reset things quite a bit. And so now I'm a part of 4 different gaming groups here in Chicago. So it's been great to have some chances to play a lot of different kinds of things. And now that I'm a reviewer, new games seem to show up regularly, so it's easy to engage with those groups here in town.
I like that. Now, if you didn't know, he's been on the BGG podcast before with Candace on episode, I think 30, and I'll put a link to that in the in the description. So I don't want to really go over some of the same things, but I always ask the question, what is your favorite game mechanic?
I think that especially now, like if you're catching me today and I'm thinking about that, I think right now it's hand management games.
Okay.
So I really love the brass system of games. So a mix of Age of Industry, Lancashire, Birmingham. I know Pittsburgh is coming. Hey, Roxley, please call me, please. And so those games I love in part because I really love those tense decisions that come from, okay, I got a few cards here. What do I do? And that mostly scales into heavier game design. So Hegemony, Lead Your Class to Victory was a favorite of mine. It was my number one game actually from 2023, maybe, whatever year that came out. Voidfall is another one that I really love. And that it's incredible how tense those decisions and Voidfall are as well. There's a massive system tied to it, but then you're like, I have 9 cards. What do I do? Right. So I think games like that are quite interesting. I think if I had to pick a second one, it's some mix of shared incentive systems, which is also a game like Brass. But lately, the Nucleum system is another game system that I'm really enjoying. And I know there's a new map coming here in the next few weeks, but I really love the Nucleum system as well. So those are probably some of my favorites right now. Although, if you looked at my collection of not many, maybe I'm a small collection guy. When it comes to my other peers in this space, I have about 200 games in my collection. It runs the gamut from quick guard games to 18xx titles to really heavier stuff like Voidfall and other things like it. So
yeah, I just made a very shocked face because as a content creator reviewer, you don't hear that they have only 200 games in their collection.
I push very hard. It's funny you say that. It's because you're so right. Most people I know in this space have many hundreds of games. I am not a hoarder. And so whenever I finish reviews of games, I typically give most of those games to the people in my review crew because I don't have the space. And I think it's a great, honestly, payment for those people. I drag them through the coals for some games that are great and some that are not great, right? So I like being able to give those games away. We had a giveaway from that pile of the Essen and Gen Con games last week with my team. And I gave over 100 of those games away to the group. It was just like, guys, take them. They got to go. Just take them all. Just get them out of my house. There's more games coming every week.
Yeah. So if you live in Chicago, maybe join one of his groups. No, I'm just kidding.
Come on out. Yeah. If you love playing games, man, we got room.
Yeah. Wow. That's really good. I applaud that because that rarely happens. I'm such a hoarder. I definitely need a call. But yeah, I've met some people that are really good at keeping their collection of games in a more strategic, more of a, I will play these games. These are not games or props for later content. No.
Right. Yeah, that's what you see. I mean, for those who are listening, Amanda and I can see each other, and Amanda knows there's essentially nothing behind me, right? I don't have this big closet of games that you can see behind me whenever I'm on camera for these things because I just don't have a big collection.
I bet your family likes that the games are not taking over their home too.
Not only do they love that, I mean, they love that part.
Yeah.
But they also love that my habit of just buying a bunch of games is mostly over now that I create content. So this family saves a lot of money to review copies that come in because I used to be that guy, right? Before I was in the industry, I'd buy a lot of titles, play less. Right now, I'm really fortunate to be able to cover games in this way because I'm a reviewer. I'm not maybe a traditional content creator in that way because I play a game 3 to 5 times before I write a review. And so I get the chance to play the games a lot more than maybe others do right now before I push the games out of my collection. And I think that as I look forward to 26, it's been great to think about the year because I'm trying to do a little bit more of write a lot of reviews. I think last year I published about 175 pieces, right? So almost every other day I'm putting something up. But really having the chance to explore relationships. I wrote a piece last year on a visit I did to Mind Clash Games in their studio because I wanted to get a sense of like, what is it like to like work at a board game company? So I'm trying to do more things like that, more interviews, just more things beyond just reviews. And I have good relationships right now with people in the industry. So it's been fun to explore those.
Yes, I think that the relationships that we have with each other and with the publishers and the marketing people and the designers and all the people in the industry are basically the driving force, at least for me. And board games is such a analog connecting way for you to connect with people that relationships are very, very important in this industry. And if you don't have a good reputation, that's also a big hit on you. But yeah, if you want to get into the board game industry, relationships are definitely a very important part for you to.
Massive. No, I agree with you. And I think that's where outside of tabletop, I do learning and development work for a consulting company. And I joke with colleagues that I seem to do better whenever we do things in person at events where we have the chance just to spend a lot of hours beyond just the workday, learning about each other and catching up and just getting a feel for who people are beyond the work. I think tabletop is the same to me. I've really had a blast. I mean, people who know me closely know that my favorite time of the year is going to Essen for Spiel because there are parties on the exhibit hall floor every evening for industry folks. And so I love it because those 4 or 5 hours after the show each night are where I build the most connection. And it's always fun to see a lot of now longer time friends through those connections. So it's good.
Yeah, that was what surprised me at Essen, and I loved it. It was just very interesting, and there was quite a few of them that I was like, wow, this can go for a while. Yeah. And most conventions are so busy, like you have 10, 15 minutes with someone at most, maybe, unless you go out to dinner with them. Having that time afterwards to hang out is just wonderful. And I do love when you have the content creator, reviewer, press events where you can go and hang out with other people that you know who do similar work and just play games and eat and chat. And it's just a lovely time. But there's always too many that you're like staying an hour here and then moving on. You know, you're doing the reviewer crawl, I guess.
Well, it's a lot, right? I think even now when I go to these things and a couple people who they'll know who I'm referencing when I say this, but like now when I go to shows, I make sure to see the same 10 to 15 people at every show, right? Because we've gotten friendly and I really want to make sure I carve out the time to spend with those individuals because I love them, right? It's gotten to that point. And I think that, I don't go to as many shows. I feel like you and some others go to many more events than I do. Or you've got the California connection or the New York thing or some other bits. I only go to 2 or 3 shows a year because I have limited amounts of vacation to spend to go to tabletop activities and I have a family. So I really want to make those 3 or 4 weekends really count. And so I'm pickier than others on making sure I carve out the time. And I mean, you're probably doing this now too. When I go to shows, this is probably advice for those that are thinking about entering this space in content creation or just the media in general. I really don't spend much time talking about the upcoming catalog when I go see publishers. I spend less time doing that. I mostly set up half an hour-long meetings with contacts, with publishers, with designers, simply to catch up on life. It's mostly a social activity. And so the guys from Horrible Guild know this because I love that publisher quite a bit. It's an Italian publisher, King's Dilemma. They have a lot of, I think, really top-notch titles. But when I go to Germany, or even when we did a meeting with them at Gen Con last year, it was just drinks. Like that's all we really did. It was just drinks. How's the family? There was some smack talk, and then we went about our merry way. That's all I look for in this, and board game people are the best. So if you have the get to know people in this industry, it's hard to beat.
So if you do that, do you just email them afterwards if you want a review copy for a game?
I think usually how that ends is, hey, I know we didn't talk about any games, but we'd love to have you cover X or Y or Z. And so that usually is the end of the meeting or maybe the beginning. I'm getting a little bit better now, or maybe my reputation is rising a tad because now I I have a lot of peers that get most of their games mailed to them months in advance. That's usually not me. Usually I have to go and do a roundup at the show. So after these meetings are over, usually some games are dumped on me and I take those out. And that way I can get to work on them quickly. No, I think that's for me, the games are the games. They're going to come either way. And I think what I love about my reputation right now, I think in this space is people know they're going to hand me a game. I want to cover it relatively quickly, and I'm going to be honest with the audience from Meeple Mountain. That's really critical for us because we don't love every game, is how I like to frame it, and that comes out in the reviews.
Yeah, not every game's for everybody, and that's okay because if it's not for you, it might be for someone else.
Although I'd still say not every game is for any person either. So it kind of runs the gamut. It kind of depends. I will say, though, the baseline for games has changed so much in the last 20 years. And that's the one thing that's great about games today in the tabletop space. It's harder and harder to find a real dog, a game that hasn't gone through a rigorous test, a series of play tests, some real development cycles before it gets into our hands. The baseline is higher than it was 20 years ago, 10 years ago.
I mean, I definitely agree on that for publishers, but there's a lot of indie publishers or people first time they're just playing with their own family of friends and they put it on Kickstarter. So there's, that. But for the most part, if it's by a publisher that's already published games, they definitely know that the quality has to be high. You have to have play tested or you're going to get slammed. And people know that you know already how to do this. You've been through this.
I joke in my my end of year. It's called Justin's Highs and Lows for 2025. It's my kind of end of year review. I joked in that piece that I think publishers have gotten wise to me, knowing that if I don't like a game, I'm going to write about how much I didn't like the game. And I think I get less chances at question marks, if you will. But I agree with you. Sometimes the newer designers, first-time publishers, their process may not be as rigorous. But for every one of those, I meet a couple more that have had a game, I feel like, in the development cycle for 8-9 years. It's just now hitting Kickstarter. A lot of people had the chance to try it, and it's in a great place. So I love having the chance to meet people that have a game that they want to show to the world for the first time. Because it's just fun to be a part of the initial success stories.
Absolutely. And it's great to see how they grow. And I love supporting them because we want a variety of different people making games because then we get a variety of different games. And you never know what comes out or what new concept or mechanic or theme that's going to pop out and you'll be like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. So
yeah,
absolutely.
No, I agree.
Now, for our main topic today, we are talking about kitting out our board games.
It's a topic I love in part because now that I've been in this space for a while, like the upgradable goodies are one thing, like buying deluxe editions, fine. But I still think you have to have a lot of other extras if you host a lot of game nights. And so that's...
Oh, yes.
We will talk about that for sure.
Yeah. So you're talking about even if you have the deluxe copy, you still have extra things on top of that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that right now... I know I mentioned Voidfall earlier, like anything that hits the table from Mind Clash games. I just recently did some review plays of the series Perseverance, Castaway Chronicles. You open the box and it could not be more deluxe. Like all the bits inside are great. But then for every one of those games, there are 10 to 1,000 other games that don't do deluxe the way I prefer deluxe to be. So I have a few other things that I keep handy just to round out the experience for the other players. I think it's really important. So, yeah.
I remember the first time I ever blinged out my board game, made it extra, was Lords of Waterdeep. And Meeple Spores just started kickstarting stuff. And I was like, oh, I'm getting those meeples instead of cubes. And for Lords of Waterdeep and all the other screen printed meeples for all the different factions and stuff. And so that was my very first game that I really made completely different by buying other stuff. Then I got into, there's so many good metal coins. And I'm like, I need to hold back.
So you're a metal coin person?
Well, I am, but I'm good. I've held back. I've gotten 2 sets that I can usually get through and using multiple games. I have poker chips. It's not too bad, right, that I've done it. But if a Kickstarter happened to have a deluxe edition with metal coins, I'll probably get it.
I was gonna say, so that's your trigger. Like you're thinking, I need to get the deluxe edition, sure. But if there's a metal coin add-on, you're in. You're all over that.
Yeah. But then those metal coins just stay in that game. I have sets that are hanging out that I can put into any game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So get some generics. That's good.
Yeah.
I am big on poker chips, and I complain about cardboard money pretty regularly in reviews that I write, because most get that wrong. Now, I'm going to say I'm a part-time train gamer. I don't want to pretend that I'm doing 8xx games every week, but I play enough train games where I need to count up revenues in the thousands somewhat regularly. Or games like City of the Big Shoulders, now Chicago 1875, where I appreciate that they included money. That was cute. But I'll never use like paper money, money cards, cardboard chits as money. No, thank you. I want those chips. And I think that's where, for me, I'm actually going hard on. I have Iron Clays. I have a set of the Iron Clays 400 that is now pretty much sitting on my game topper whenever I play games. Because even if there's not a lot of transactions in a game, right? Like it's a kind of game where you have like one or two coins. You never have a lot of money anyway. The money's usually gone. I still think people like to play with something, the tactile experience of having it in their hands while they wait to take their turns. Enter the clays. Now, some of my friends, and especially the ones in my Wednesday gaming group, are pretty aggressive poker chip snobs. It's actually funny to watch. A lot of them look at my Iron Clays and they're like, these aren't heavy enough. These aren't Vegas enough. Or they go the other way. Hey, I really love these really solid chips, but they're smaller because you can carry them in a smaller case. So people go to a bar or they go out somewhere to do a game night. They need to have those chips. Sometimes, and a couple times a year this happens, someone starts a thread that is, hey guys, I'm ordering more chips. Who needs them? And like we definitely have 20 sets of poker chips within the team. Why do we need more chips, man? What's going on here? So that's a big one, but I get it. Now, and I would say I'm open to paper money. If it is quality paper money. Did you ever play Rock Hard in 77? Okay. I'm constantly telling the folks at DeVere this, like, it's the greatest paper money ever created for a board game, right? If all publishers took the time to do that for me, paper money, I'm in, right? But usually it's I'm punching cardboard 5, 10 unit money tokens, garbage. I mean, I know, I get it. I'm a snob. We acknowledge it. But I need those chips, man.
But you don't take Iron Clays out, right? They just stay in your home and you have people come to your home.
Usually. But
You
if I'm
actually
going
take them
somewhere and we're doing something that's going to require it, I definitely put the Iron Clays in the bag. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, they're so heavy.
Yeah. Got to do it. I just look. I'm trying to think of games I've played. Okay, one of my favorite ones I call out is Arc Nova. Arc Nova comes with pretty generic. In fact, I think it's just, I want to say the currency isn't even named. It's just like 19 money. Hand me my starting income of 20 money. But it's an insult to a player who plays a lot of games to give them their money in cardboard chits. As a sign of respect, here are these poker chips. I make a lot of friends this way. It works out every time.
I feel like it's like Japanese samurai or, kung fu. As a sign of respect, you need to hand me poker chips and not cardboard money.
I won't name her here, but one of the team members at BGG, her husband and I are always joking about this because he knows when I sit down at the table, he looks at the money in the box, the cardboard, and he's like, Justin, do we need, yep, get the chips. We need to see the chips. And then he goes over to grab a set of his very handsome poker chips instead. I'm always going to want those chips.
One of my friends going analog, Shu and Christina, they have a lovely home and they have on a long sideboard on top of a bookshelf is just rows and rows and rows of different bits. So they have like 4 or 5 different sets of coins. They have different bits, wooden bits that could go into multiple games. And so when you pull out a game that you want to play and you see some bits that go with it, you can just grab, the little containers, play with it, and then put it back. And I was like, that is the ultimate thing to have in your board game room, is these upgrade bits that you take and you put back. So do you like to upgrade your cardboard bits to wooden clay bits?
Great question. I have something similar at home where, and I mean, you're probably the same way. We get so many board games, and sometimes they have too many bits, or when I donate games sometimes, because if I don't give them to my review crew, I usually give games to the Gaming Hoopla. It's a convention that is hosted outside of Chicago, and they have a charity kind of element to it. I keep some of the bits for games that we're going to throw away anyway. And the game Charterstone from Stonemaier had a lot of these like just spare bits that came from. It's a legacy game, but there were a lot of very random like pumpkin tokens and meeples of all colors and things like that. So that was the start of my creation of like essentially a grab bag of wooden components. I sometimes use those when the things included in a game just don't work for me. So I do that. But now you have me thinking, I don't do a lot of upgrading to wooden components from cardboard. I do, however, if there's an option for metal components, I'll typically go for that. I don't do coins as much because I don't need those for the money. But if I can get, like Thunder Road Vendetta, I feel like the minis have this wash on them, right? I love things that look that cool like that. But I'll pay for that kind of an upgrade. But not a separate... I don't really have a lot of separate things that weren't offered as upgrades in campaigns. The things I'm looking at now that I have scattered around my desk that I use for games that I upgrade, dice for sure, and dice are a big one. Another Stonemaier production. Stonemaier does great work with their productions, but the dice that were included in the Rolling Realms games, those two large, like purple, bluish dice, those have become the substitute for a lot of things that I use. Also, Fanroll does great work with dice, and so they send some promotional items that I end up keeping to use as dice substitutes, because sometimes the dice that come with games are not great. I have a lot of those kinds of things too. And then little bits like, the little finger pointers that you see at demo tables whenever I need to teach a game, because that's like 2-3 times a week I have to teach new games. So now, because I'm always like pointing at various things, I got a couple of these like little pointers that I always have around the table so that people can point out things there. Train games, especially those little like suction cup pickup tools for tiles.
Oh, okay.
I need those when I need to go and like move tiles around or rotate tiles. Those are a big one too. When I went to Trax, that 8XX convention, I was shocked at how many upgraded components I saw there. Like, we're talking about nerds within nerds within nerds. 8XX gamers, I salute you. It really, like, is another level of bits upgrades. Train gamers are no joke.
So these are the suction tools. I think I've seen some of them where they were originally made for electricians or electronics.
Okay.
And then they're using that to pick up tiles. But have you seen the ones that now are everywhere about picking up the cards?
Yeah, I have seen those. And look, each time I see that one, this is actually a good call out. I want to say it's called Pickup. Yeah. It's just like a $30 suction cup tool. Each time I see the ad for it, I'm like, I don't need that. But as we're talking right now, I'm like, I might need that, because I do. I play a lot of games and I teach many more. So that little tool, it'll come in handy. Sometimes cards are always getting like, it's hard to get them off a table without having to try to pick them up. And you don't want to scratch the edges, because I don't sleeve cards. It's one of the few upgrades I don't believe in. I never sleeve cards. Never. That's a handy tool.
Yeah. No, I was like, luckily some of my friends has the pickup tool for the cards, and like they work sometimes and they don't work other times. So I would rather just have a good mat on the table that makes cards easy to pick up.
I think you're right. I think it's not a need. This is probably more in the want category, but that want also has to deliver, right? Like, I want it, I don't need it, but it's got to work.
Yeah.
But I do think there's a moment again when someone pulls out that tool where then you get that like, factor. That's a real thing. I want to be able to impress others that come over from time to time, those that think they have seen everything. And this is a good chance for them to see something they've not seen before. I think when we wrap up today, I'm going to go pick up a copy of Pickup. So I've got one in the house, just in case. No reason
just
at all.
A little, to show off.
Just show off.
So do you think a board gaming mat or games like Earth that has the player mats, is that a upgrade as well? Is that a must-have, or do you?
It's a good question.
Do it?
The team at Capstone, Clay, Christopher, and others, when I picked up a copy of Pirates of Maracaibo, which is a fantastic game. I never ask for extras. I never want bling when I go to get review copies. I want the version of the game that most people will buy, right? Because I want the experience to be on a peer with what people do. But as I was picking up the game, Clay was like, hey, I think you need to take this too. And he handed me a copy of the mat that is used for Pirates of Maracaibo. If those have not played Pirates of Maracaibo, there's not a board. You're laying out cards on a table, and the cards are the board. But I got the game home, and I whipped out the playmat, and I immediately was like, I needed this. I don't think I even thought that I would need it, but I absolutely did need it. Tag team last year, I'm still kind of angry I didn't grab playmats because it's another one where any of those like battler style of games, having cards laid out that way is just easier. The big one for me, and Jan at Ion will agree with this. High Frontier for All was a game I reviewed last year, and I didn't think I would need a mat. So I get the game home, and we bust out the board. And for those of you that have seen the High Frontier for All board, I'm a man of a certain age, and my eyes aren't what they used to be. I'll just put it that way, right? The board I thought would be big enough. It was not. I after one play, went onto the Ion website, and I bought a High Frontier for All. Basically, it's the board, but blown up like X or 5X. And so it's a playmat that is the board. Absolutely required. And when I played the game with my play group, my son and I did a game. We just used this large mat. It made the entire experience so much more immersive. This is basically a mat that is a map of the entire solar system, right? And you're moving pieces along it and placing chits along it, but that's just easier to do with a large playmat. And it adds so much to the experience. I don't always believe that, but I think in limited cases, I think a mat is the right.
Always like playing on a mat, or at least a tablecloth. I feel like it makes things smoother and easier for most games for me. But I always will have a mat in my in my trunk somewhere to take.
Oh, you keep one in the car. I love that.
Yeah. Tate Wu, who is the designer of Sunrise Tornado, he makes bats with really cute cats, and he made this really big one, and I backed it, and now I have it in my trunk, because usually if you go somewhere, it's like a folding table or regular eatery, and they have like grooves, so I just put the mat down. It's just a lot easier to play on.
That's funny. I'm thinking of him because you said it this way. I'm going to give a shout out to my man, John Seasley. He's a friend of mine here in Chicago who's part of one of our gaming groups. He's big on, okay, let's put a mat on this table because it'll make the play surface experience better. But he's also a big proponent of one other upgrade that I have not adopted enough yet, but more and more I need to do, which is he's a big fan of creating player aids for games that don't have them. And he is known in our circle as the master, right, of getting this kind of thing done. And so every time a publisher does a game now, and I wrote this article called Every Game Needs a Player Aid, because every game really does need a player aid, and publishers, I think, are missing out in that way. John is always the guy who has player aids. Sometimes they're sourced from other people who have created them and left them in the files area on BGG, so they're out there because others have done the work. And on some occasions, he just makes them. But I love that he provides that service for all of us as players. He also takes one extra step. He sometimes laminates them. It's a deluxe operation when John is involved. So I'm learning from him. That's becoming a big part of our game nights too.
I love that.
But I think that he's someone that just gets the deluxeified nature of bits, components. Like for game night, let's make this experience great for everyone. And it starts with things like that. big shout out to John for doing that for a lot of our game nights.
Completely agree that player aids are a must. Unless the game's really easy, I think player aids will just always help get the game to the table, get the game played easier or faster, and have less questions once you get going.
Player aids, for any publisher listening, I'm telling you, if you're like, we don't need player aids, I'm telling you right now, you are 1,000% wrong. And this is not even like a heavy Euro question. This is games of any weight. Players are so distracted now when they're listening to rules. They're going to forget half the stuff that we as teachers are laying out for them. Player aids. Now, one thing I also have is a little bell. I won't ring it, but I have a bell that I keep handy for all game nights because as the one that teaches most of the games, I ring that bell if we do a 4 or more player game, if each other player has asked about the same rule each time we do plays. So by the time the third or fourth person asks the same question, usually, hey, yeah, so that thing you talked about, so tell me again, how do I do so-and-so? And if other players ask the exact same question, by the time it comes to player 4, I just start ringing this bell. I want people to focus on all the work that we've put in to learn these games. And people they just go on autopilot. They don't think, I wonder if someone else has asked that same question already. Nope. So the bell is kind of like, hey, I'm a teacher. And so I want to ring the bell to just remind people, focus people, listen, put the phone down. If other people ask the same question, I want you to not miss it.
Yeah.
It's annoying, but I love it.
Whatever you need to do to get everyone on the same page. And
I feel better. That's right. I feel a lot better after I ring the bell each time. It's important.
Now, do you think inserts are must or not must? Like 3D printed or like folded space, foam core insert?
I'll say this. Each time I stop by a booth at a convention, and I won't name the companies here, but there are a couple of big companies that I think do great work in the inserts space. I am a fan often of the Eric Martin approach. Dump all the stuff back in the box. Fine.
No.
But I am also a fan if I've dropped the money. If game trays is involved, love a good sorting tool, right? Galactic Cruise does great work with the game trays. Andromeda's Edge, love that storage solution. Everything from Mind Clash, great. But for the most part, I can get away with dumping everything in the box. And especially when the inevitable expansion comes out for a game and I got to fit it in there somehow, I don't have room for foam core. I just got to jam it on that box. I think I like it if you like it, but I don't need it when it comes to a good insert.
But doesn't it take you a lot longer to set it back up after you've like just jammed everything? No?
That's right. Nope.
You don't even use baggies?
No, I do keep things in baggies, but then otherwise I just jam it all in the box.
Okay.
Sometimes, though, I do have some games where I just jam it all in the box. I do.
Holy
I don't
crap.
mind. Because then when I put the game out, I just pour all the stuff on the table, and I have a topper, a game topper. Mm-hmm. So it's got like a vault style kind of edge around the outside. So it's not like I spill things over the edge of the table. And it's very easy to sort the things, right? And if I have the chance to set up a game with other people, it's usually not a problem. Yeah.
Okay.
But again, if it comes with it, love it. But more often than not, I feel like publishers don't provide any kind of a good storage solution. I guess I'm just getting used to that. Maybe it saves everyone money. Okay.
Yeah. It's usually the deluxe edition will have a storage system or game trays, but the retail does not. They just have the inserts so that things don't get messed up during shipping, right?
Right. Yeah. And nowadays, and I admit that this probably is a first world / bougie problem for me, I don't buy a lot of games anymore. So I only buy 3 to 5 games a year now. And so when I buy games, I usually do go all out. I buy deluxe versions. So I'm like, okay, I want that, right? But when I talk to publishers, I actually want the retail version. If your game is good, I don't need deluxe components. It'll come out when I play it. And in those cases, there's never a good storage solution. I'm like, all right, it's fine. I'll make it work.
It's funny. I just played Vineyard from Pencil First, and I think I got the retail version because it's a review copy, but man, the trays, the storage system was perfect. You know how you had acrylic standees? They had little space so that you never have to take the standees apart. And then it fits underneath the bit, like tray with the lid. So you could just take that out and put it onto the table. It is amazing.
That is fancy. That's real fancy.
I was surprised, and it was a good shock to have that everything had in place. Everything was labeled where everything went, and it was really nice that everything fit nicely and made it easy to get onto the table and put back away.
Yeah.
Another thing I usually carry along with me if I'm going anywhere for game days or game nights, besides a mat in my trunk, is I have a set of Geek Up bowls. You know, the kind that are flat and that put together, and Geek Up card and bit holders because they're different colors. So we can base it on the player color, and they have a ledge that you can hold your cards in there and also the bits. And these are silicone. You can find it in the BGG promo store. But I find those so nice. I at least have a set for myself in blue so that people know I play blue. But otherwise,
I love
that
you put that out there too. I'm a huge proponent of those Geek Up silicone bowls. In fact, they're here off screen. Just pull them up. But what I love about those, I have them in 2 different sizes too. So I have them in there's a smallish, you should probably call this out for listeners, but the smaller ones are great. And they tuck nicely into the bags that I take whenever I go out different places. And they always get used. Even if it's not my game, I'll pull those things out and other players will use those to store bits on the table. I do game nights at bars in the city from time to time, and that's where they become really important. Another thing that I'll call out that not even because they're sold in the store, but because they're the best of the kinds that I found at conventions are the draw bags. The draw bags that BGG sells through the store are fantastic. I actually... Each time I go to it, I don't even need any more, but I keep buying more of them. I have probably a dozen draw bags that I use for games because anytime a rule book asks me to shuffle 30 tiles face down, I'm like, you're crazy. That's just not happening. I'm not doing it. So I pull out the draw bags and I just keep all the tiles in those bags and I can shuffle in the bag and then just draw from those bags. So then I keep the bags off to the side of the table. So I have that as a way to also minimize things on space. There was a game last year that Devere released called Covenant, and Covenant had a lot of that problem. I'll call it a problem. Hey, shuffle these 20, 30, 40 tiles face down and then stack them in a large pile on this part of the board. I'm like, I'm never going to put that many tiles on the board. So I'm just going to keep this draw bag nearby and it's going to have everything that I need. There's 2 sizes on the BGG store's site. One of them is a little too small and one of them is the perfect size because the other thing is I have big hands. I'm a taller guy. And so I need the bigger draw bags because I got a big hand problem.
So you're talking about the microfiber drawstring bags. Is that what it was?
Yep. And the bigger ones of those, I'm gonna butcher how big they are. But some of them are just too small for my hands, so I bought a bunch of the bigger ones. And I bought them different colors because, and even in games where players have a wallet, but they don't have a way to keep money secret or tiles secret, I give them drawbacks. So those drawbacks end up being fantastic. Again, I don't work for BGG. I could buy bags anywhere, but the ones on the site are the perfect drawbacks for... I probably use these drawbags essentially every game night to either set up the game or during play.
I think the one you're talking about, the larger one, is the 13 by 16 centimeter because the smaller one's 9 by 10. So
I don't know centimeters very well. I won't lie to you, but if you just put a note on the website, size of Justin's hands, I think that'll be better for the listeners. I think that'll be all they need. But I get it. I love things like that because those are the upgrades for me. This is perfect.
I agree. I love upgrades that make it easier for me to play the game. So absolutely.
100%.
I do have to shout out Modern Meeple, which is really rising. I think people are now hearing more about them. They have the Lazy Susan bit holders that you can, turn around, and they have ones with single compartment, double, triple with card holders. They have whole sets just for your own personal board and pieces. And now they have bags that they're coming out with. So they're really getting into the space of upgrading your experience and upgrading how easy it is for you to get your games to the table. So that being the transition, because I saw their bags through other people's lenses, through other content creators. But of course, we have, Board Game Geek has their bag, but All Play is almost the standard for board game bags that people like. Now they have ones on wheels, so you don't have to carry this giant bag on your back. And for us shorties like I am, be very careful around those. They will smack you around and you'll go down hard because they're right on that level of my face. And I'm like, oh God.
I mean, I've seen people get knocked astray, right? When they get hit with those bags, man, that can be rough. So I get it. And All Play does great work. I was telling someone the other day, it's weird to me that All Play to me was board game tables, and they were, to me, purely a accessory tables, like that kind of company. But now I think they are, if not the premier, one of the premier publishers of games out there. It's just, I love the stuff they're putting together, but to know that they give you everything is just they're doing great work right now.
They're almost a one-stop shop, right? Because you can get your table, you'll get your bag. Yeah, All Play is doing great. And they're connecting with other publishers so that they can help distribute their games, which is really nice, especially for the smaller publishers. So it's almost a one-stop shop for a lot of different kinds of games and very inexpensive shipping as well in the US.
Huge fan. All Play is doing, to me, everything right now. It's just been a fun story to follow.
Now, we're running out of time. So I'm going to say one thing that I don't like for upgrades for games is stickers. Stickers for your wooden bits.
Not a fan of stickers. I agree with you. I don't think of stickers as upgrades. So I'm with you. I support you on not in love with stickers.
It's just so hard to put on. I mean, tweezers help a lot. But a lot of times I'm just like, oh my gosh, they're like a little bit off and I can't peel them back on. And I'm just like, no. Anyways.
Totally with you.
Yes.
Stickers, no thank you.
No thank you. And y'all know there's t-shirts to be found. There's board game tables to be found for multiple companies. So there's a lot to help bling out your board game experience that has nothing to do with the games themselves.
Right.
So our game list top 5 is games of 2025. A lot of them are published or put out in 2025. Some of them, for me especially, I played in 2025 but did not hear about it or did not play it until 25. So they're going to be on my list. Also, this is not my ultimate list. Okay. I hate doing the ultimate. These are definitely my top 5 games. No, these are the first 5 games that I thought of when I'm thinking about my gaming experience of 2025. So there's that.
Love it.
Justin, do you want to start?
I'll start. That's great. So these are my top 5 games of 2025. And like you, most of these were released in 2025. A couple were not, but we'll start there. So my number 5 for 2025 is a game called Ayar, Children of the Sun. It was published by Osprey Game and by Mandela Fernandez-Grandin and Fabio Lopiano. I think the Meeple Mountain team knows that I'm becoming a bit of a fanboy with Fabio's work because I think he's been banging it out the last few years. Shackleton Base was great. I thought Autobahn was pretty good. There's just things that he's touching right now, and it's mostly working. IR is the 3rd game in a series of games from Osprey that started with Merv, and then the middle game I think was called Sankore, The Pride of Mansa Musa. I actually didn't really like Sankore that much, and so when they sent a copy of IR, I was like, all right, well, let's see. Again, Fabio's name is on this, but let's just see how it plays. Just unbelievable. And I think what made it great was that it's an easier game to teach than Sankore. It's definitely a medium weight Euro that plays in about 90 minutes. It's a 1 to 4 player game. There are essentially 4 mini games that are the center of what happens during each player's actions. They're moving these tokens along various tracks. On paper, it sounds like almost every other Euro that came out last year. But when we got to the table, I was surprised at how much tension is tied to the system that is the main mechanic on each player's turn. You're taking, they're called tambos, these little houses, off of your player board and putting them on one of the 4 tracks that is in the game. And that also drives a little bit of a race, because as these meeples are moving along these tracks, the one that finishes each round in last place essentially retires. I don't want to say dies. Let's go with retires. And they go away forever. But the way that triggers some of the other scoring mechanics, the way players have to invest in what other things are going on in the game. At 4 players, it creates a tension unlike any other game I played at 4 players as a Euro last year. It was really shocking. And I think that the main asterisk for this game is that it's a fantastic game at 4 players, and it's not great at 2. At solo or 2 players, I wouldn't even recommend trying it. At 3 players, it's somewhat interesting. At 4 players, it is magic. And its big hook with the scoring is you have to manage 2 different scoring tracks. There's like a sun scoring track and a moon scoring track. And like other Euros of this type, the lower of those 2 is your end of game score. So you have to find a way to keep both of those things moving up throughout play. It's just a big surprise. I thought Ayar was great. I think Osprey does great work. I still think Crescent Moon is one of the best games they've ever published. This to me was just very strong and a big surprise. So Ayar Children of the Sun was my number 5 from 2025.
Very nice. I have not played that or the games in that series, so very interesting. Along those lines, I am starting to be a fangirl of Tomas Holik. He came out of the gate in 2024 with SETI, Galileo Galilei, Tea-Guarded, and everybody's like, who is this guy? So my pick was SETI, The Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence for 1 to 4 players by Tomas, multiple artists, and the publisher is CGE. And oh my goodness, this was such a great game. Me and my friends really love it. Last year, they came out with an expansion that kind of does what Prelude does, which helps you like get really into the engine of it. Multi-use cards, which I sometimes hate and sometimes like, but really enjoying this one. And it is beautiful table hog with various aliens that can come out and change the whole game mid-game. Some people hate that. I did not really, I mean, it didn't really hurt me. I liked it. But it was really lovely. The solar system, revolving around in the middle of the table was beautiful. People are lighting up the sun with little puck lights now. But yeah, this is a really good, heavier Euro with a lot of different things to do and very tight resources that really drive what you can and cannot do. There's that technology engine building that allows you to do a lot more. I really enjoyed it. I try to get it to the table as much as I can, but it is one of those heavier, longer games, so it's kind of hard. I played it solo and enjoyed it, so I have to say that it plays good at all player counts. Have you played this one?
I love SETI. I think that's when I first reviewed it, I thought SETI was good, but some of the gaps were tied to what you just described, which is I think it needed a Prelude style expansion in order to round out those edges. It always felt to me like the first round was a little too slow. So space agencies did change some of those things, which I love. There's like quick start cards. If you've played Terraforming Mars Prelude and then you immediately played SETI with space agencies, you'd be like, this feels like they took a lot of the good ideas here, but SETI-ized it, which I love, right? And I think that when I did an interview with Tomas last year, and I think there was some acknowledgement that it could use some rounding, but I have a lot of friends here that think that that's their favorite game of all time. I know that it entered the top 20 on BGG this year. It's a very popular game now. I think SETI's great.
Me too. So that's SETI from Tomas Holik from CGE Games. What's your next one?
All right. My number 4 is a game called Jungo, designed by Toshiki. I'm going to say it's Arao. That might be me mispronouncing their name. Published by Happy Camper. I think Jungo is the updated version of a game called Hachi Train, which came out a few years ago. I liked what Happy Camper did with the game Trio, which was also a game based on a Japanese title called Nana, which I had played when Nana first came out, because we have a friend here in Chicago that's the big importer of Japanese card games. So Jungo is a shedding game. And I look at all games the same way. If I show it to my family, how much do they want to play it? Jungo was my most played game in the house in 2025. My son could not stop asking to play Jungo. And that tells me Jungo is great. It is a very straightforward shedding game where players have a hand of cards, and as they are able to play cards to the table, when an entire pass goes around, right? You play cards at the table, no one else can beat your played hand. When we clear cards from the table, player that triggered that can choose to add those cards back to their hand or not. And that's the only real mechanic to it. Sometimes games of Jungo take 3 minutes. Sometimes they take 10. You could play Jungo once or 10 times, and that's the number of hands you could play to call it a game. The artwork is beautiful. It's very, very easy to teach. My big complaint is the box is too big. It's a deck of cards. I have no idea why Happy Camper keeps making these games with the box being like double the size it needs to be. Save for that, a fantastic experience. Jungo is my number 4, and it's not challenging the place of Scout in my or other people's households that have tried it. I think Scout is still the king of shedding games in my circles, but I thought Jungo was a very handsome alternative for that style of game.
Yeah, Happy Camper has been bringing a lot of games. I think their whole thing is to bring these more Japanese or Asian games and make it a little bit more friendly for the broader market and make it look different enough that, they can invite or entice other people to play it. I definitely really enjoyed Nana and played Trio, but still like my Nana version because it's animals. I have not played Jungo yet. They did do Nanatoridori. I think they did a remake of that as well. So, I think
Camper's doing great work. I think it's a publisher I like following because they're clearly, I think they're looking at the market and saying, okay, you could import these same games for a lot more money, or we could just give you this version. And as long as you keep the gameplay the same, I'm in.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe the big box size is for retail. I have no idea if they in there.
Maybe. Yeah. Good point. All right, what's your number 4?
Yeah, my number 4, not in any specific order, but a game that I want to play over and over again is Citizens of the Spark for 1 to 5 players. Designer is Philip Dubarry. Artist is Diego Sa. Publisher is Thunderwork Games. I played this last year with multiple friends, and we're like, okay, now we got the rules down. We're going to not do the starting lineup, and we're just going to do either it's chaos and we just randomly pick different sets of cards, or we're like, oh, we really want to try, engine building. But man, it's so fun, even if it's the most chaotic set of cards, or if it's really, really mean set of cards, we're just like still having fun. I guess it's a little bit of engine builder, but not. You're just going to take a row of cards, try to get as many sparks, try to get a little bit of a combo going so that you can get more sparks, because you can follow other people when they choose a card that you have in your tableau, and then you get to do that action as well. And you have to really see what other people have around the table, especially the ones right next to you, because some of the cards depend on your neighbors on your left and your right. And it just has such a large variety of cards that you can mix and match in every game, can feel different based on what kind of cards you have. You can have a little bit more of a mean game where you're attacking each other, and so you need to have something to protect yourself. Or you could have more of those where, okay, I'm going to kind of work together, a little bit more collaborative, and they have different sets of cards that they suggest in the rule book. This is definitely a nice one. I don't know if you like the sparks, because some of the sparks are cardboard and some of the sparks are like bits. It's a little weird in that end. Well, they're not cardboard. They're cubes, and then there's like, bits and stuff. So it's just a little bit different. But yeah, I really enjoyed this game.
I still haven't played Citizens of the Spark, but I've been told great things, and this is another endorsement for it. I need to try it. I've heard this might be up my alley, so I think I need to get this to the table.
Yes, and I know they've sold out multiple times, and they're, restocking it, so definitely check it out. It's Citizens of the Spark from Thunderworks Games. Okay, your number 3, sir.
My number 3. So I'll preface this by saying that this is a series of games that the team at Cosmos sent me last year. So I think my hope is they'll continue to send me the upcoming games that I have not seen yet. But my number 3 from last year was the game Masters of Crime, Rapture. And it was originally released, according to BGG, in 2021, but I didn't get a copy of it until last year. These are essentially Cosmos' shot at a escape room, one-shot style mystery deduction games but for adults. They have Exit the Game, that series. That's more family friendly in most cases. This is meant to be, I think it's like 14 and over, 16 and over, in part because of adult content. But even though I picked Rapture as my number 3, the reality is almost every game of that series is an A+. If you are looking for the kinds of games that are, hey, it's date night, I want a 2 to 4 hour experience where you're dropped into a world and you've got to solve this crime, this is that series. And I play a lot of these one-shot style games, and this is definitely the best of them. In Rapture, in all of the games, I won't spoil anything, but in all of these games, you're actually playing some version of the bad guy. So you're either playing a crime boss or maybe a low-level mobster within the mafia. You're already a bad person when the game begins. And you're having to solve some form of a mystery within what else these bad people are already doing. So it's already got a great hook going for it. Some of these games seem to find ways to like create the solutions out of thin air. Masters of Crime does a much better job of becoming a logic puzzle. What makes sense? What's sensible based on the characters involved? And then by the end, you have to figure out which suspect, well, we'll use the term suspect, and that's not quite right, which person is possibly guilty of something. Masters of Crime is fantastic. And all of them use the same format. There's a 70-card deck of suspects and locations and items, conversations, but just the way it weaves together its story and uses websites, there's some puzzles, there's technology involved with all of it. It's just very well done. The designers for the game, Lucas Setsky, Martin Student, and Verena Wiechens. And I assume each one of these games has a different set of designers, but Cosmos has just nailed it with this series. There's 2 more games, or 3 more games maybe that I have not tried, but I've tried Vendetta, I've tried Incognito, I've tried Shadows, and I've tried Rapture. Almost all of them were great. So my number 3, Masters of Crime, Rapture, originally from 2021.
I love that. I'm guessing once you get the feel on how to play for one game, it makes it easier for you to learn and get into the next few games in the series.
But if you played any of those kinds of like cold case, unsolved mystery types of games, you'll be right at home. And if you watched any of those standardized TV shows that have murder mysteries going on over the last 50 years, you'll be right at home. But I think that the twist is that you're the bad guy. And so that always becomes a very interesting take on how to go through those games.
I'll definitely have to check out because I'm a big police procedural fan.
Pick it up right now. That's right. If you're a police procedural person, right this second, Masters of Crime, it's a no-brainer.
Awesome. For me, my next one is a game that also came out in 2024, but I didn't play it a lot until 2025. And it blew up. This is one of the few campaign-style games with multiple missions that I actually got to play multiple times because everybody was very excited for it. That is Endeavor Deep Sea for 1 to 4 players. Designer is Carl de Vizier and Gerard Gray. Published by Burnt Island Games and the Grain Gamers Guild. I got a review copy from Burnt Island and immediately loved it. Me and my friends played multiple times. Every time that I get to play it with someone that's already played it, we're like, oh, we're going to try some random mission. We did not go in order. We jumped around. Every mission kind of feels different and you start with a different setup and it's lovely. One thing I'll have to say, and I did make this mistake, and usually if a game has a co-op version, you can get people into the game a little bit easier if you play co-op and they learn and then they'll want to play it competitive. Not this game. Do not start it at co-op. Co-op is very hard. You don't get to feel how the combinations work. You don't get to feel how, cool the movement and how you're upgrading your workers work. Don't start at co-op. I accidentally did that and people are like, I don't understand this game. And I'm like, I'm so sorry. Just play it competitive and then you'll love the game. But yes, this was really fun because every round you get a new person. So you get a new action to take. You have very limited resources on actions. So you have to decide which of these discs you're going to use to put out onto the board and which you're going to hold back to actually activate the people that you have. And then you have to upgrade all of these different tracks in multiple different ways so that you can have, more discs to do more things or get a better person on the next round and so forth. And it just really all connects well to each other. And there is slightly multiple ways to victory, but I really enjoy just figuring out the different, the different ways that each of the mission changes the game. I have never won a co-op game, even with experienced gamers. We're just like, this is way too hard. And Justin's laughing at me.
Look, I'm laughing because you're so right. I played Endeavor Deep Sea maybe 6 or 7 times, but for the co-op plays, I lost them all.
Yeah.
Every single one. Lost them all.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why, but yeah, but it's a really good game. I have to say it is a really good game. So
is there an expansion?
Yeah.
I think there's an expansion maybe coming this year. Well, I don't know. I think I heard that maybe on BGG. But
yes, Uncharted Waters is coming.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what that will add or change. I thought Endeavor Deep Sea was good. I have a lot of other people in my network that loved it much more than I did, and so I kept my copy because I was like, I bet you there's an expansion that's going to be coming sooner or later. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that plays.
I thought there was already, is it in the Kickstarter or maybe not? Because I remember there is a 5th player expansion because the base game only plays 1 to 4. I think I have played the Uncharted Waters expansion because it gives you a green, blue, teal player color. That's for the 5th player. There's a little board that you add on to have a little extra worker placement spots or, the different spots that you put out your disc to research or get cards and stuff that you add to it if you're going to play it at the full 5-player count.
I see.
So it's not that big, and it has 4 new scenarios as well that you could add to it. So it definitely is not like changing the game, it just adds to it, which is good. And I have played it at 5 players. I don't think it adds too much to the time, which is a good thing, but it does allow for up to 5 players if you have the expansion, which is really nice, I think.
Good.
But yeah, that's Endeavor Deep Sea from Bird Island Games and the Grand Gamers Guild. Your penultimate ones?
My number 2 for 2025. So my number 2 is Speakeasy, designed by Vital Lacerda and published by Eagle Gryphon Games. I mentioned this in the article that it's a tricky one for me because I know you talked earlier about this. Speakeasy was a game I had the chance to cover before the campaign. So I played it 7 times for the review in 2024. Eagle Gryphon sent a production copy a few months ago, and so I had the chance to play it a couple more times late in 2025. I am someone who's a fan generally of Lacerda's other games. It's kind of factored that in. I feel like some people are big fans of Lacerda's games, and some people use him as the crutch to say, this is what's wrong with gaming. This is crazy. There's so many rules. Fine. There are a lot of rules. There's a lot going on. But I think this is some of the designer's best work. And I think as this is coming from someone who was critical of Weather Machine and who admittedly loved inventions, evolution of ideas, but I know that it's also a very, very heavy, strategically positioned game. Speakeasy is one of those that just worked for me in part because I'm a big fan of the theme, and that one's easy, right? Like New York, gangsters, prohibition, booze, all those things are just, whenever there's a movie that comes out that has those themes, I'll always watch it. But I just think that this is some of his best work because of the way interaction works with players around the area control portions of how scoring works in the game. I also have a weird fast fact. Across my 9 games, the person who has spent the most money from behind their safe screen has always won the game. And so it creates this dynamic where players start the game with, like, let's call it $15 in cash that they can spend freely and $30 behind a screen. But if they spend that money behind the screen, they actually, the way it's spent, it costs double to use that money. So there's a lot of negatives to using that, in part because at the end of the game, your score is the amount of money you have left over. So even though I tell players this, and I'm saying this now in this podcast, it never changes the behavior of people who are like, oh, I don't want to spend my money in my safe. It's too valuable. I don't want to spend it. I'm telling you, you got to spend it. So that part is funny. I think the restaurant space is the best space, not only in this game, but in terms of a mechanic. I think it's my favorite Lacerda design of any single piece of one of his games, too. And I think the player boards designed by, I'm sure, a mix of Ian O'Toole, Lacerda, others. I think the player boards are maybe the best work that O'Toole's ever been a part of. And that's saying a lot because he's been a part of so many great things. As a production, it came out in the same year as Galactic Cruise, which I think a lot of people rightly think of as a fantastic production. But I just thought Speakeasy was a home run. And I think for players that were beginning to drift away from what Lacerda was doing because of those heavier games like Weather Machine, this felt a little bit more like some of the classic Lacerda designs to me, like the Gallerist and Vinos and Kanban EV. So there's no getting around it. The price tag is somewhat shocking. Fine. But as a game, the 2 plays I did last December after I got my production company really brought it home. Like, I just think it's an incredible design. So my number 2 is Speakeasy from Eagle Griffin Games.
Nice. Now, I was able to play it last year because my friend backed it. And I was like, oh, this is such an easy game to get into for Lacerda. And you're right. It does feel that gallerist kind of weight in how you can get into the game and learn the game. And it does really connect. Like with Kanban, it's very logical if you're in card manufacturing. And I felt that it was really easy to learn, really getting into. It was beautiful, like the area control. I'm not necessarily a big fan of area control, but it was not bad. It was not bad. We weren't playing too aggressively, I guess, with each other.
Okay.
But, oh man, I don't know if the person who won used the most money from behind their screen. So I'm just like, okay, now I have to think about it. And maybe if I get to play it again, I'll see if that works for me. I'll be the one person. I'll be like, Justin, it did not work.
I only can say it's worth a look to do that. And it's fun because that tension is there right from the first turn. Players are sure they do not want to spend that money from the safe. But I think to win, you have to do that. So just creating that mechanic is another reason why I really enjoy what Speakeasy has to offer.
Absolutely. So my number 2 is Sanctuary. It is a sequel, not an expansion to Arc Nova. It's for 1 to 5 players, designers Matthias Wig, and it is published by Capstone Games. And I enjoyed it. I play Arc Nova, but every time I play, I almost need another teach just because I forget how things work and how things connect in the iconography and stuff. And Sanctuary was so much easier for me to get into, so much easier for me to learn and to teach and get other people into. If you like tile drafting, tableau builders, this is up the alley, and it has animals, and I'm always trying to find the panda. But I did a whole 5x review of it if you want to check that out. But that was very fun. I really enjoyed it. So I'm very grateful to Capstone that allowed me to take a copy and then basically show it to everybody that I knew. Like,
there you go.
This was really fun.
I don't know if you did it the same set of demo plays at Gen Con. I joined Capstone and the folks from maybe Feuerland to do a demo of Sanctuary back in August of last year. So I did one play of it. I haven't done plays since then, but I liked what was there.
Yeah, it was very nice because they had different time slots. They had multiple copies of the game set up. They did one teach, and then they had people walk around. And I just happened to be at a table with all women. So it was very interesting. It was nice. We all really enjoyed it. We didn't have time to finish it, but they were very kind to let me take a copy and play fully and teach other content creators in my area. And it definitely is one that I will pull out and teach other people. Not as heavy as Arc Nova, but it has the Arc Nova, I guess, DNA. Some of the terms are very similar to Arc Nova, but I feel like even if you've never played Arc Nova, you definitely can get into Sanctuary. So
definitely a family weight version of Arc Nova's system. I totally agree with you on the DNA comment.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's not light. It's definitely a midway game. Yeah. So that's Sanctuary from Capstone Games. And your top 1 of 2025, Justin.
Number 1. My number 1 game of 2025 was Vantage from Stonemaier Games and designer Jamie Stegmaier. Vantage, I think, is one of those that is probably out there for those that have that listen to this podcast regularly or that are gamers. I'm sure you've heard of Vantage, but I think that what I tell people is if you are looking for a really kind of unique narrative experience, it was a pretty easy win for Vantage for me. I also get that some people have had not as good experiences with the game if you don't see the things that maybe I saw, right? And that's a big part of this. I'll share just one story because between 900 locations, I feel like 1,000 item cards, everyone's got their own voyage when it comes to the Vantage experience. The way Vantage is set up, players take on the role of like, I don't want to say an astronaut, but certainly someone that was like on a voyage, on a spaceship. That spaceship crashed, and those on the ship took escape pods to land somewhere on this kind of magical, mystical planet. And so play is simply discovering this world, and you discover it through cards. And there's more to it than that, but I'll let players discover it if they've not. One mechanic in the game, if you play with other players, is everyone lands in different places. But if you ever somehow end up in the same card location as another player, you can go around with that other player or players and continue the adventure with them. So across 900 location cards, in one of my, I think it was my fourth or fifth play, with one of the other guys that writes with me on Meeple Mountain, a guy named Kev, I was on whatever card I was on, and Kev took his turn, and he announced that he was moving to card, pick it card 120. That's where I was. And we both were like, wait, you're moving into my location? And there was this like high fives, you stood up and hugged. Like it was just this magical, like, yes, we are in the same location randomly across this massive world. And for the next 45 minutes, I wrote that I called it interplanetary date night. He and I just basically went around the world for like 7 or 8 turns, doing stuff together. Raiding a little looting of a location here and a raid there. We met some cool characters. We picked up some items. We got the chance to like split the loot at a location. It was amazing. And we also had some kind of cool surprises that I won't spoil here that added to that experience. I did 7 plays of Vantage last year, and I would say 5 of them had just kind of cool things like that happen on the adventure. I was a huge fan of choose your own adventure books growing up when I was a kid, and Vantage got me relatively close to how that felt. So as a game, nothing kind of came close to what Vantage did in terms of being a unique experience for me. I highly recommend trying it, especially if you can do it with like one other person. I think it doesn't work as well with 4 or 5. It plays up to 6. I don't even recommend it at more than 3. But as a solo or 2-player experience, Vantage was a very easy pick for my number 1 game of 2025.
Nice. Now, have you played 7 Continent or the Choose Your Own Adventure games?
So I have one of the Choose Your Own Adventure games, I think somewhere in my like pile of older games I need to try. And I've never played the 7th Continent. I think at least the latter, that would be a lot heavier because the nice thing about Vantage is it's extremely easy to teach and play. Like there's almost no teach at all. Like the game is like roll these dice and start playing. Great. That's why I think Vantage also works. Like I played with my family with no teach. You can't beat that.
And I agree with you. Like every story that I heard of people loving Vantage is because they really went on this adventure together and really got into the theme and the story of the game, kind of like a RPG, TTRPG, instead of like a board game where you're trying to find and do stuff. You're really playing on the storyline, and that created a lot of good memories. And so they loved it. But then if they played with people that were very quiet and not really getting into it, then it kind of fell a little flat.
Yeah. Yep. I was lucky to have the former when it comes to experiences. But again, I get why opinions seem to range quite a bit. But I had a great time with Vantage.
Nice. For my last game that I want to talk about from 2025, I got a demo of it in 2024. And it was gorgeous. As soon as I saw it, I was like, this is very pretty. How do I get a copy of this? And it took a while. It took over a year. And I finally got my little paws on a copy of Pergola for 1 to 4 players from designer Michael. I do apologize. Even the co-designer Prismet. I apologize. I'll have the link. You can go check it out. They did such a great job of it. The artist is Carolina Kijak. I say this because the artwork in this is just so beautiful. I was really looking for a lighter, cozy game, and Rebel Studio definitely put out one that fit the bill. I got a review copy from, I think, Asmodee, but it is one of those very light, easy to learn, easy to play, multiple ways to get points, but you're just building your own little garden with your pergola. You get to hop your own little frog around the lily pods to get insects and dragonflies, and it is a very easy. You're going to choose a tool, and they're actual little tools, and you get your own little pot to put the tools in, so you know
That is
how far
great.
in the
Wow.
game. It's definitely well done. The production quality is high. Like the little lily pad actually sits in the tray that holds all the bits, and it's really nice. Very well done on the production quality, but it's easy. You're just picking a tool, getting your resources, then you're going to do the action that is underneath the tool. Some things like lanterns allow you to change that action. You can go have your frog jump and get insects. You can go down a waterfall to get insects. You can go pick leaves and get other insects, and it's all different things to do to get your garden built out. At the end, everyone has a different garden. It's so beautiful, and you're going to rearrange things to your liking, and people are always going to take pictures, and it's really nice. They even have like a board underneath, a player aid that tells you how everything scores, which is
That's all I ask.
perfection.
Just give me one player aid. I'm a simple man.
So easy. Very easy for me to teach. Very easy for me to play. I've been playing it a lot on Board Game Arena because it's on there now. But it's a light, cozy game for anybody that wants a pretty game that's very relaxing to play. Definitely not heavy at all. But it was definitely one I was looking forward to. I'm so glad it lived up to the beauty hype that it showed to me. Because there's some games that I'm just like, okay, this is not what I was thinking, but this is definitely the game I was thinking of. So very, very happy for Pergola from Rebel
I've not
Studio.
tried this, but it's great to hear that it's on Board Game Arena. I will definitely give it a look there because I've not heard of this. This is great to know.
Well, we can do an async game. It's very easy async too. So
there you go.
Well, let's do it. So those are 5 of our favorite games from 2025. Next is the moment of positivity, where we just celebrate something happy that we want, that's big or small, that brings us joy. Justin, why don't you start?
I just came back from a work trip in Florida, and right now it's like it was a couple days ago. It was negative 11 degrees here in Chicago, and so we're right in the thick of cold season. But I have a chance just to sit outside of a hotel for about 20 minutes in between like meetings that I had at this hotel in Fort Lauderdale. Nothing beats great weather, and I get it. And so in January, February, nothing beats sunshine. Hey, board game players, leave the house, go outside, soak in the sun. Not all of us live in LA like you, okay? Some of us got to suffer. Don't forget to leave the house and soak in some rays, man. It's so important right now.
Yes, absolutely. For me, I did something indoors. I baked a blueberry and apple coffee cake just yesterday. It was delicious. Of course, I ate a little bit warm. I had to taste it before I handed it off. My mom brings all my baked goods to her workplace and shares it so that we're not constantly eating it. But I had some blueberries that were going bad fast, and I was like, oh, we're not eating this fast enough. So I just supplemented it with some apples, and it was delicious. I really enjoyed it, and I hope there's some leftovers when she brings it back. But I like baking, and especially when I know other people will enjoy it. It's really nice. Although I don't like baking when I'm under a time crunch and I didn't like prep. Like, I'm going to game night. I need something now. And I'm like, oh, no, I'm not going to bake. Even cookies take longer than you think because there's the cooling time. So I always have some cookie dough frozen in the freezer. It not only helps the flavor develop, but it makes it easier and quicker for you to bake up the day of. But good home-baked goods always makes me smile, you know?
I look forward to you bringing some of these things to the next convention we go to. Now I want to try some of these goodies, man. So you got to bring them out.
Man, when I first started, I brought like 100, 200 cookies to PAX Unplugged the first 2 years. Yeah. And just gave them out. Yeah. You missed out.
Thanks for rubbing it in. I appreciate that. Yeah.
But yeah, sometimes I do it. Like it just depends on if I had enough thought to do it, because it takes me a whole day to bake the cookies, to let it cool, to wrap them and stuff like that. And then it's funny because I don't mind it for PAX Unplugged, because I always bring empty suitcases for review copies or games I buy, because it's just, that's where you get the spiel and the Gen Con releases, right? But I will have just my carry-on is just cookies. That's all it is. It's like one set of clothes and cookies, because I don't trust them on, mushing my cookies around if they put it underneath the plane. So I never actually got any type of looks from TSA to have a bag of cookies, which is surprising. But yeah, I'll have to remember to bring you some baked goods on the next.
Yeah, come on, man.
I know. I'm sorry. I know. So speaking of which, when can people meet you? What's the next cons for you?
I think that this year, a little bit lighter. I'm sure I'll be at Spiel. I'm never going to miss that show ever again. Then Gen Con for sure, because it's a short drive from Chicago. Great question. I'm looking at the schedule. I really want to hit UK Games Expo at some point. And so that's the next new international show I want to try and hit. And I need to look harder at what other shows in the US I've not been to before. Geekway to the West is the one that I'm told I need to go and check out. So that's the most likely of the domestic shows.
Okay, nice. And where can people find you on the interwebs?
Yeah. www.meeplemountain.com is our site, and you can find me all over the place there. I'm light on socials. Justin Bell Says, JustinBellsays on Instagram and Twitter, or X. But the reality is you can usually find me responding to comments on the Meeple Mountain site, because I write so much there. So that's the best place to start.
Nice. And all the links will be in the description of this podcast, including links to any of the shows he might have suggested or said something about, and the episode with Candace for you to check out. And if you want to check out his reviews, you can also find him on the 5Pod podcast, but he's stepping away from that for a little while. Hopefully you'll be back. But yeah, I do love hearing your voice and your reviews. Like, even though you're doing a lot of writing on Meeple Mountain, I like to hear your voice too, because even though you think you have a face for radio, you definitely have a voice for radio.
That's very kind of you. And I will tell my family that at least somebody cares to hear my voice more often. So we'll see if that works out for me.
You've been listening to the Board Game Geek podcast, produced and edited by Amanda Wong. Be sure to visit us on the web at BoardGameGeek.com. You can also find us on YouTube, X, Blue Sky, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok under Board Game Geek, and Twitch under Board Game Geek TV. You can reach us by email via podcast@BoardGameGeek.com. Thanks for listening, and happy gaming. Game night isn't just about the rules. It's about how it feels to play. The weight of the pieces, the clarity on the table, the little upgrades that make everything click. The Board Game Geek store is built for players who want more from their games, offering premium upgrades like Geek Up Bits, smart accessories, and exclusive designs that enhance play, reduce friction, and make every session more satisfying. If you care about how your games look, feel, and play, visit BoardGameGeekStore.com and level up your table.